Thursday, May 27th, 2021, 5:45 a.m. And today is a pretty quiet overnight session so far. Something just I want to look at on the daily. We are just still in this super tight consolidation range for months now. All the way back, today is May 27th, and taking this all the way back to as far as I have this chart back into February 26th, we have been trading in a pretty much a range from 58 up until 68, so a $10 range here in oil. I've drawn this in this red profile here. So we see this double distribution profile separating these two value areas. And then this smaller profile. And this is just marking the swing low, the price, the low of the swing at about 60 in the upper profile distribution. And the point of control here is at about 65.31, so we are trading within about 20 cents of that price right now. So we can see we're just basically trading in value. So at some point we'll come out of that, but we tried to break down out of that into the lower distribution here, and I've talked about that a couple times, and we rejected the lower side of value here. Then that's the lower area of distribution right here. And now we can also see range, our average true range, which is the average daily range of price shrinking again. So that's why we've seen these pretty quiet last 2 or 3 days here, but still plenty of opportunity. I've had really good trading days recently, and so I'm not complaining about the volatility for me where I'm at, especially with my skill level. It's not that bad of an idea for me to have a few more of these less volatile days. Not super volatile, because it can get too volatile and then you really can get trapped and stuck in these expansion moves and get chopped up. So volatility is great as well. Most traders love volatility, but I've been just fine and pretty happy with how the market's been moving. It's still moving. The auction is still trading in a fairly orderly fashion where I've been able to trade. So very happy, very grateful for what's going on. And on the 15-minute, we can see again. So for today, we are opening in range, but below yesterday's value area low. So we're below value, in range. And this week, this is Wednesday, this is Tuesday, so we can see the last couple of days have really been in a pretty tight consolidation, and yesterday was very mild, very muted for a news release day. So my expectations for price here are for us to come down again and test these lows. If we can get down into these previous demand areas, I still have this previous demand marked. This is what we've tested down for this expansion move here, and this is my short term. And of course, if we can get down below this, we would be down into the lower side of value here, and then possibly moving down into previous days range, but no reason to talk about that right now. And then next upside target is to come back up into value and test the VPOC and then the upside here. And this isn't really very far away, so we could easily see this high tick tested here at the upper side of value, yesterday's value, and the previous day, basically the last 2 days' value are here as well. And then easily could take out these highs as well. Resting liquidity up here for any large one-time frame buyers or sellers to execute trade up here above this area. And now to our shorter time frame charts. Not a whole lot going on here. We are sitting right at the current overnight low, and we've definitely seen some buying coming in here. Some of the highest volume in the overnight session at these lows, which isn't much. It's still pretty light. You can see here 600, less than 600, less than 400 contracts. Highest volume in the overnight session is also at the same area here, and that was at about 2 a.m. 900 contracts. So there's definitely some buying in this area, in this range. but it's nothing real large. And so I would be looking for us to break down and hold this area and push lower. But I'm going to be watching. I'm not real anxious to jump in any trades yet before I see how this area is going to react. And being that too on the long side we have trouble right up here above, not too far, less than 10 ticks away, I'd be hesitant to take a long trade into here, into this, before this has been tested. We just had a really nice imbalance off of this overnight low here, and I was watching and was paying attention for the volume that came in here, pushed down and failed back up, pushed down again on increasing volume, and just based on a pure failure trade, this is a decent long try. But my issue with this is that what appeared to me to look like some structure here, this trading into this untested high here at 57 and into the 62. 62 was 10-12 ticks away, so decent enough space, but likely to see a reaction here, and in this case didn't happen, just had a nice rip up. And once we get above this trouble, the 57.62 trouble, we have these highs, the liquidity here, all this is definitely weak as well. Weak highs here, and the potential to come all the way up into the high tick here, and that's where we came up into the 80. So nice try, but I just passed. I definitely did pass on it, trading into this trouble here. So I'm not sure if that's right or wrong, but for me it wasn't something I was comfortable with, so I passed. So now what is the question? Where is the opportunity? So we've obviously seen that there's some buyers here, and we are also another area. Not only is this just a high tick, but this is a low volume node from yesterday. Low volume node, otherwise known as a flip zone, unfair price. So we rejected this from the low side. Expectation now would be to come back into value, or we hold this here and imbalance above again and move back into the upper side of yesterday's value area. First would be expectation to come into this point of control from yesterday, which is also pretty close to the 66 round number. And then from there, really the overnight high isn't too far away as well. So that would be the next stop on the train. And then anywhere, sky's the limit here, but up into the top or the upper value area high from yesterday at 66.29 is definitely on the table. So we formed a new area of balance here, and watching closely to see how we're going to react. We are holding this area of balance now from above. The issue with any long trades, if we do get something set up here, is that we have all this space here. So that is a potential risk on the downside for any longs. But if we can flush any liquidity, any shorts coming into the market here, then we have potential trapped shorts here for the continued move up higher, and we definitely do have some room to go here. 91, we have untested highs, or untested lows here. Above that we have this weak. There's definitely weakness here to the left, as I mentioned, into the overnight high. So we'll see how we treat all this, but pretty mild pre-open session so far. I would love to get something on here, but this is also not the strongest high here, not the strongest low, so trying to avoid coin flip situations and just watch and let the market present to me where the opportunity is. I am in a long here, and I think that it was a little premature, a little early. Expectation is that it definitely could take me out here. I was almost looking to kill it for a reduced loss, and it looks like I'm going to take my full. I'm going to take it off at 6, but that's going to happen right here. Really, this trade wasn't based on a whole lot other than this imbalance push higher. We came down below these bar lows here. Small little imbalance push up. And that was here. And then on this bar, we had an increase in volume. And I was looking that we might get a break higher into this 91 before the market opened. And didn't really, it wasn't a real strong, it was very aggressive on the long side as well. So what we're seeing now here was likely. And now the ability or possibility to fill in this space. So once this didn't hold here, that 73, 72 area, I didn't want to be in this anymore. That's why I took a kind of a reduced loss, and I took a 5-tick loss because it didn't look like it was going to hold. So we'll see what happens here coming into the open, if we flush these lows or fill in this space, or see what's going to happen and possibly get long here, or just watch and see if we're going to come back down and test this overnight low again down here. But not a whole lot to do here, being stuck between this value area and then this previous value here, and then above the trouble here into the overnight low. Here we are in the open, and after getting taken out on this little low tick of this range here, we came up and moved up into that previously talked about 65.91, this untested supply, as well as yesterday's point of control. And we are rejecting that so far, coming back down into retest the upper side of this pre-market value area. So this is kind of all value here. We can see that in the profile here as well. And we're testing the top side of that. So looking back in hindsight is always easy, but I wanted to be long, as obviously I was long prior to the open. My hesitancy on holding through that is, like I mentioned earlier, about this space below. But after the open came in, the opening print here, and the flush of the low here, and then this imbalance up, this volume put in here, and I believe this is where Kelly entered, somewhere in here. So, and then at that point, anywhere in here is a good entry. Below here, we definitely had some heat on the push up to the 95 all the way down. So would I have held through this? Hard to say. But then looking to move up into, 91 minimum, but really with the expectation of all of this liquidity to go here and then to push into the overnight high. And we've now pushed well above that. So now I'm looking to see where are the next opportunities, and I'm not quite sure, because we're pushing above these highs. We've pushed already above this high. Now we'll see if we're going to push above the 66.52. It seemed that this was a fairly large unfair price. The reaction on that was pretty sharp, as we can see here in the number bars. Real high volume and a sharp rejection of price. So now what's going to happen? Be leery to jump on the short train already, but there's definitely a fair amount of space to fill in here. We could see ourselves all the way back down into balance here. So now we are selling off and putting in some heavy volume here. So I'll be watching this. I want to see what happens when we get up. Now if we get a failure either of this high or of this large volume here, I may try a short. But on that same token, if we can push above this volume here that's been put in, this area that we can see here on the profile, I would be willing to take a long to come up in and challenge that 50 area, flush this liquidity one more time, and see where that puts us. But if we can push hard above this area, we definitely have some room to go. There's really not much above until we have this space all the way back from the week of the 18th. So if we can get above this 50 area, the next stop would be around this 73 in this untested supply here. But then all this up into here is a possibility for a flush of liquidity. Took a few trades. I was on our live session, so I didn't have them live, but when we had this, I wanted to get short off of this large volume that came in here and anywhere in here, but then we are trading into this trouble, so I passed on this one. There was enough space, but you know, the 28, 29, there was some large volume supported by this trade as well. Definitely an unfair price, and then this large volume was put in here, and then the imbalance down here below this structure, and then anywhere in here to come in and take this, you know, 26, 27, 28 area, and then the breakdown here would have been a nice trade, but I passed on that one. We came down, put in these lows here on heavy volume. The last seller was here, tried up here one more time, tried again here, and then this volume was put in here and a push above this and this little imbalance down on increased volume. This hadn't happened yet. This 806 bar hadn't happened yet, but I took the trade on this bar and I entered here at let's see what 10. So basically on a little after this push, and then a pull back to this, and then once this spiked down, didn't break these lows and put in this volume, I went to break even because it seemed a large buyer definitely had stepped in there. So I took a break even or a +1 on there, and then we moved higher and then back into the structure above, and that's what happened here. And I took a long trying to break these highs here. Didn't happen. We did get up into the 40, which is this last seller here, and I went to break even on a break of these highs to the left, and I took another +1. So could have taken a +10, but didn't get anything out of that, unfortunately, trying to get the little bit of a larger move. So after the push up and finding some supply here, we had this push here and then this nice imbalance down, and I took a short here at 24 aggressive, hoping that this range would hold and likely to come back down through and fill in and break these lows. That didn't happen, and I took actually an 11 tick stop, which is quite a bit larger than normal, and it seems that this was more of definitely a shakeout. Something I could have been a little bit more mindful of is that the volume on this bar came all the way down here at the bottom, so indication of some buyers, definitely some larger buyers stepping in here near the bottom. And so now I'm really going to have to just wait, and probably not going to trade much more. It's 9 a.m. so volume is likely to start decreasing unless we see some kind of larger volume come in, but which is always possible. I mean, it's only 2 hours into the session, but I'm not really having much luck in getting anything on. So something else that doesn't really work for this short here is that we are above this structure here. So this is balance. So on this spike down, this imbalance move down here, we're really just respecting the structure and rejecting this. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense necessarily to short right into that. Now this has been tested, so if we can get down back into this area again, the short may be more attractive, but the bulk of the volume is down here. We have this range here, so kind of in a stuck position here, stuck between levels. I think I'm done for the day. All the volume's pretty much dried up. Things are real slow. I definitely took 2 unnecessary losses after I got taken out of my long break even on the push here to 40, and I tried two shorts here, expecting that we were going to fail back down into this area, and obviously that didn't happen. And I think I was just kind of frustrated about several trades that I've had positive equity on now, and just took another short up into these highs and took another BE break even after pushing down to be up 10, and failed these lows and just kind of is grinding. And really now all we are in is just chopping around in value. So not a surprise. So ended the day down 20. That's pretty my worst day in quite a while. So it's okay. It happens every once in a while. But seeing I could have avoided some of the trades that I took today for sure, and been a little more aggressive on a few of the other ones, like this long here. I could have definitely grabbed a win here, and then the long off of the open here, off of this compression in the volume here, to would have been a nice win as well. Trades identified but not taken. So all right,